Namo Namaha Bhaktam Sarvesham Hardam Swagatam. Welcome back to the channel Sanskrit Sopanam. Moving ahead in our Learning Sanskrit through Gita series, today we'll be covering the 67th shloka from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And again, this particular shloka is a follow-up to something that Krishna said in the previous shloka. So if you have not seen the previous shloka, I'll recommend just first go through that 66th shloka first. What we can learn from this shloka from Sanskrit point of view, and what is the core message that Krishna is trying to give us. All this we will see in this video. Without wasting any more time, let's quickly dive into today's shloka. Okay, so this is the 67th shloka. Let me go through the shloka once. Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano nuvidhiyate tadasya harati pragnyam vayur navami vambhasi. Okay, so this is the mool original shloka, and here is the padacheda version. Let us see what all sandhis we can spot here. So firstly, between these two padas, Indriyanam and Hi, we have the Anuswara sandhi. The padant makara, this is changing into Anuswara due to the presence of a consonant. So this is Anuswara sandhi. Okay, and the same sandhi, Anuswara sandhi, we can spot between these pada also. Charatam and Yat, that is why makara is getting replaced by this Anuswara. And then Pragnyam and Vayuhu. So in all these places, we have that same Anuswara sandhi. Okay, then moving ahead, we have a sandhi between Yat and Manaha. What sandhi is this? So this is Anunasika sandhi. That when a Vargiya consonant is following a nasal consonant, then that Vargiya Vyanjana also becomes the nasal of its Varga. It also changes into the Anunasika of its Varga. So Yat Manaha becomes Yan Manaha. The Takara changes into Nakara. That is the Anunasika sandhi. Okay, and moving ahead, we have a sandhi between Manaha and Anuvidhiyate. And what is happening here? So we have this word Manaha, where a Visarga is following a Rasva A. And so the Visarga changes into that Ukara. Okay, the Visarga se Utvam happened due to the presence of this Rasva A. So Visarga changes into U. Okay, and as soon as Visarga changes into U, it recombines with the preceding A. And again another sandhi happens, that is the Guna sandhi, due to which A and U, they both are replaced by O. Okay, so due to the combination of Visargasya Utva sandhi and then Guna sandhi, this Manaha, this changes into Mano. Okay, so now you have the pada Mano and Anuvidhiyate. And then again, there is the third sandhi that will happen here, and that is the Purva Rupa sandhi, where only the Purva Rupa, this O, this will remain, and this A will be made hidden by the Avagraha Chinna. That is the Purva Rupa sandhi. So Mano Anuvidhiyate, this ultimately becomes Manonuvidhiyate. The A is made hidden by that Avagraha Chinna. Okay, so in all, three sandhis are happening between Manaha and Anuvidhiyate. Utva sandhihi, Guna sandhihi, and then Purva Rupa sandhihi. Okay, so I hope all these things are clear so far. Now if you move on, we can spot another sandhi between Tat and Asya. What sandhi is this? So this is the Jashtva sandhi, due to which the consonant will change into its Jash letter. That is into the third Vyanjana of its Varga. So Ta changes into Da. So Tat Asya becomes Tadasya. Okay, that is due to Jashtu sandhi. And then we can also spot a sandhi between Vayuhu and Navam. What sandhi is this? So Visarga is changing into this Rakara. So this is the Rutva sandhi, due to which Vayuhu, Navam, they are combining as Vayur Navam. That is what you can spot here. Vayur Navam. Okay. Then here it is not a sandhi, it is just Varna Melanam. So Navam Iva, it is just joining. A Halanta letter joins with the next letter. And then lastly, you can spot another sandhi between Iva and Ambhasi. This is the Savarna Dirgha sandhi. And so all these words are combining as Vayur Navamivambhasi. Vayur Navamivambhasi. Okay, that is what you see in the Mool Shloka. And again, all the Sandhi rules for the Sandhis we spotted in the Shloka, and the entire word by word breakdown for this particular Shloka is in the PDF sheet that you can download from the link in the description box. Now let us move on and start the decoding of the Shloka. Okay, so this particular Shloka is connected to the previous Shloka. How so? In the previous Shloka, Krishna said, Ayuktasya buddhihi nasti. That for an unsteady person, there is no knowledge. So that is all of us who are operating in this world, just fulfilling the whims and fancies of our senses. Okay, we are just living a sensuous life, trying to chase one sense experience after another and hoping for an everlasting happiness. So this is a story of all of us. So that is what is this Ayuktasya buddhihi nasti. But then in the Shloka, Krishna is explaining why the possibility of knowledge and then the possibility of further meditation and for further tranquility of mind, why this is not possible for a yukta person. That for all of us, why this knowledge becomes such a hard thing to even come in contact with. Okay, so that is what is being explained in the shloka here. Okay, in the shloka we can spot two kriyapadas, anuvidhiyate and harati. We will start with the first kriyapada first. Okay, so anuvidhiyate. And anuvidhiyate means something is followed. Okay, and this kriyapada is coming from dha dhatu, which have anu and vi as their upsargas. So anu plus vi plus dha, this combination means to obey or to act in accordance with something or to follow something in that sense. The form here is lat lakaraha prathama purushaha ekvachanam. But the important thing to note here is this is karmani prayoga. Okay, this kriyapada is karmani form. Okay, that is why I am writing it as is followed. I am not saying follows or obeys. I am saying something is followed, something is obeyed in that sense because it is a karmani rupa. Okay, being employed in the karmani prayoga, the passive voice sentences. So, anuvidhiyate, something is followed, something is obeyed. Okay, and if I move on, so the question is, kim anuvidhiyate? Okay, what is being followed? And as a response, we have the sarvanama yat anuvidhiyate. Okay, and see, yat, this is coming from, you already know, yad sarvanama. Yad means that which. Okay, basically when we are talking about a certain thing, so that which, and if we are talking about a certain person, so one who. Okay, so that is the use of yad sarvanama. And this yat, so this is the prathama vibhakti ekvachanam form in napumsak linga. Okay, in neuter gender. Okay, so with just yat anuvidhiyate, the meaning is that which is followed. But what is this yat pointing to? And this yat is pointing to indriyam. Okay, because see, the structure of this particular shloka is slightly tricky. Because in this particular shloka, we have to add certain words so that we can get the proper meaning out of this shloka. Otherwise, the grammatical structure of the shloka does not sit very well when we translate it into English. Okay, in Sanskrit it is fine. But when we translate it without adding additional words, to create a proper structure becomes very tough for this particular shloka. Okay, and that is why I'm adding a certain words that will complete the meaning for us so that it becomes easy for us to comprehend this entire shloka. Okay, so we had the word yat anuvidhiyate, that which is followed. What is this yat pointing to? This yat is pointing to indriyam, a sense. Okay, so supplementing this sentence with additional implied words, yat ekam indriyam api anuvidhiyate. Ekam indriyam, that single sense. Okay, yat ekam indriyam, that single sense which, and yat ekam indriyam anuvidhiyate, that single sense which is followed. Okay, so I hope you are getting this structure. That yat ekam indriyam anuvidhiyate, that single sense which is followed. But then to give it a proper contextual impact, I am adding this word also api. Okay, this avyayam also api. So the entire structure becomes yat ekam indriyam api anuvidhiyate. Even that single sense which is followed. Okay, even that single indriya which is followed, which is obeyed. Okay, so I hope the entire structure of the sentence becomes clear. Okay, so yat anuvidhiyate, these are the words that are present in the shloka. To get the proper meaning out of it, I am supplementing this with these additional words. Yat ekam indriyam api anuvidhiyate. Even that single sense which is obeyed, even that single sense which is followed. Okay, that is what we have so far. And now if I move on, so kesham, that this ekam indriyam, this single sense which you're talking about, kesham madhye sthitam, that this particular indriyam that is being followed, this is being singled out from among what? So kesham. And now we have this indriyanam. And along with the adjective we have charatam indriyanam yat ekam indriyam api anuvidhiyate. Okay, let us understand these words first. Charatam and indriyanam. So charatam, this is coming from charat pratipadika, and indriyanam, this is of course coming from indriya pratipadika. Indriya, this is a napumsaklinga pratipadika, that means sense. Okay, our sense faculties. That is that indriya. And charat, this is a kridanta. That means this is coming from a certain dhatu modified using a krit pratyay. So it is char dhatu modified using shatra pratyay. We get this pratipadika charat. Okay, shatra pratyay adds the feeling of doing the action while doing that action. Char means to wander. So charat, this means wandering. Okay, so charat indriya, we are saying the wandering sense. So the senses, they are wandering in the field of sense objects. And with this wandering, we were basically saying the senses which are engaging with the outside world. Okay, so I hope the pratipadikas charat and indriya, they are clear. And now the indriya that we spoke about earlier, that which is being followed, that which is being obeyed, that indriya is coming from among what? So it is coming from among all the senses. So basically we are saying that even one indriya among all the indriyas, even one sense among all the senses. Okay, that is why we are using Shashti Vibhakti Bahuvachanam. So indriya becomes indriyanam, and the adjective charat, this will also take the same suit. So it will also change into Shashti Vibhakti Bahuvachanam in a Napumsak Linga form. So it becomes charatam. Charatam indriyanam. Among the wandering senses, yat ekam indriyam api anuvidhyate. Even that single sense which is being followed. Okay, so I hope you have got the meaning of the words and you have got the contextual meaning also. Okay, see, basically Krishna is saying that all our five senses are continuously facing outwards and they are continuously interacting and engaging with the outside world. Now, from among all these five senses, if you pick up any one sense and if you follow just that, okay, you can pick up any one sense and you can follow that. Okay, among all the wandering senses, even that single sense which is being followed. That is the information we have so far. And now if we move on, so now we have this another Kriya Pada, Harati. And Harati, this we have seen before also. Harati means steals. Harati means carries away. Okay. And this Kriya Pada is of course coming from Hri Dhatuhu. This Dhatu again means to steal, to carry away. Okay, to take away something in that sense. The form is Lat Lakara Prathama Purusha Ekvachanam. And this is the normal Kartari use. So Harati means someone or something steals or someone or something carries away. That is this Harati. Okay, and if you move on, so Kim Harati. Okay, and the subject of this Kriya Pada is Manaha Harati. Okay, the mind steals, the mind carries away. But then we have some additional information also, and that is this Tat Indriyam Sankalpayat Manaha Harati. That the mind which is operating in the wake of that sense. Which sense? That sense which is being followed. Okay, so I hope you are getting how this entire grammatical structure is. That yat we saw before, that yat was pointing out to any one sense that you pick up from all the wandering senses. Okay, so that yat was pointing to a certain indriyam which is being obeyed, which is being followed. And now we are saying that tat indriyam sankalpayat manaha, that the mind which is sankalpayat, which is deliberating, which is which is reflecting, deliberating, or basically which is following tat indriyam, which is following that indriya. Basically, the mind which is operating in the wake of that particular sense, the mind which is getting swayed by that particular sense, such a mind harati, manaha harati. Such a mind steals, such a mind carries away. And again, in a simple term, Krishna is saying that all our five senses are already engaging and continuously wandering in the outside world. Now the mind, if it follows even a single sense, okay, all the senses are very powerful, all the senses are very strong, their pull is very strong. Now if the mind only follows even a single sense, such a mind also steals, such a mind also carries away. That is the implied meaning here. And then Kam Harati, that such a mind, Kam Harati, carries away what? Such a manaha Prajñam Harati. Prajñam, this is coming from the Pratipadika Prajña. And Prajña means wisdom. Okay, Prajña means discriminative intelligence, wisdom. Okay, so the mind which is operating in the wake of that sense which is being followed, such a mind carries away the wisdom. Such a mind steals away the wisdom. Okay, basically such a mind distracts you away from proper knowledge, from proper discernment. And then Kasya Prajñam Harati, that for whom we are talking about. And we already know that in the previous shloka Krishna was talking about the Ayukta person, all of us. Okay, so he is not repeating that Ayukta, he is using the Sarvanama Asya. Manaha Asya Prajñam Harati, that the mind steals his wisdom. Okay, and this his, we know he is talking about that same Ayukta person. So Manaha Ayuktasya Prajñam Harati, that such a mind steals this person's, that is an unsteady person's wisdom. Okay, this Asya, this is coming from the Idam Sarvanama. We have already seen this Asya before also. This Idam is the Sarvanama. This Asya is again the Shashti Vibhakti Ekvachanam form. Okay, so I hope all these words up till this point are clear. And then lastly, to emphasize on this point, Katham Harati, that in what fashion, how the mind carries away the wisdom of such a person. That is why we have this indicatory avyam Iva. Okay, Iva means just as. Okay, we use this Iva whenever we are giving a simile, whenever we are making a comparison. So, Manaha Katham Harati, in what fashion the mind carries away or steals away? And Krishna is saying, Iva, that just as the Vayuhu, just as the wind steers away Navam, steers away the boat, Ambhasi, on the water. Okay, that basically just as a strong wind can completely steer away a boat running on water, in the same way, the mind can very strongly, very forcefully carry away the wisdom of such a person. Okay, so Vayuhu ambasi navameva. That is the upama, that is the comparison. Vayuhu, this is coming from this Vayu, Ukaranta Pratipadika only. Ambasi. So this is coming from Ambhas Pratipadika. It is a Sakaranta Pratipadika. Ambhas means water. Ambhasi, this is the Saptami Vibhakti Ekvachanam. So on water, because the boats, they running on water. And Navam. So this is coming from an Aukaranta Pratipadika. This is a Aukaranta, a Strilinga Shabda, and this means boat. Okay, and the Aukaranta, these kinds of Shabdas, they are very rare in Sanskrit, but then again, this is one such word. So Aukaranta Strilinga, now, this is the Pratipadika, and Navam. So this is the Dutiya Vibhakti Ekvachanam form. Why Dutiya Vibhakti? Because Vayuhu Navam Harati. That is why Vayu is in Prathama Vibhakti. That Vayu is the subject of this Kriya and Navam is the object of this Kriya. Okay, so I hope all these words are clear. Okay, so the question was Manaha Prajnam Katham Harati. The mind carries away the wisdom. How? In what fashion? And Krishna is saying Vayuhu Ambasi Navam Eva Harati. That just as the strong wind can steer away the navam, can steer away the boat that is running on ambasi, that is running on water. Okay, so I hope all these words, all these meanings are clear so far. Let us see the Anvaya along with the Anuvada now. Okay, so again in the previous shloka, as Krishna informed that ayuktasya buddhihi nasti, that for an unsteady person there is no knowledge. And in this shloka, Krishna is telling us that why attaining knowledge or why reflecting on contemplating or sitting tight with that knowledge is so hard for an unsteady person. So that is what Krishna is explaining here. And the core reason is that manaha prajnam harati. That the core reason is that the mind, it steers away the person's wisdom. It steers away the person's mind or focus from wisdom. Okay. But what kind of a mind? So tat indriyam sankalpayat manaha. That the mind which is deliberating or which is itself following that indriya. And what is that sense? That single sense we are talking about? So Krishna has already informed us that charatam indriyanam yat ekam indriyam api anu vidhiyate. That among all the wandering senses, even that single sense which is being followed. And who does the deliberation on the sense? Of course, the mind deliberates over the information that is provided by the senses, that is brought in by the senses. So that is what he is saying, that charatam indriyam yat ekam indriyam api anu vidhiyate. And tat indriyam sankalpayat manaha. So the entire meaning is for a mind which is operating in the wake of even that single sense which is being followed among all the wandering senses, such a mind asya, that is ayuktasya purushasya prajnam harati. Such a mind carries away this person's wisdom. And in what fashion? So he is giving a upma here. Vayuhu ambasi navam iva asya prajnam harati. That the mind carries away this person's wisdom just as a strong wind steers away the boat that is running on water, that is moving on water. Okay, so that is the translation of the shloka. Okay, and again in the shloka, Krishna is just reinforcing the fact that the senses need to be controlled. The senses must be controlled if you want to lead a successful and happy life, and if you want to progress further in your spiritual life as well. Swami Chinmayananda uses very poetic, strong language in line with the upma that Krishna gave here. Krishna said, "There's just as a boat will be completely steered away from its charted course by the strong gust of wind if a proper controller, a helmsman of that boat is not available. Similarly, a mind which is kept unanchored, the mind which is not anchored in the truth. So such an unanchored mind, if it is allowed to be carried away here and there by this, by this passionate sense storms, basically by whatever the senses are willing to do. So if the mind is continuously being dragged here and there by the senses, so such a mind can never be available for a proper shavana, for a proper manana, and for a nididhyasana. So such a person or such a mind will sure lead a person's astray. Okay, so that is what this shloka is saying. Essentially, again, that senses are very powerful, senses are very strong, and if you want to progress, in our spiritual life and become joyous and happy in our day-to-day life also, then the first thing is the senses need to be controlled. And when the senses are controlled, the mind, it starts to become controlled. It starts to become more and more serene and quiet. Okay, and then again, Krishna has already said that a peaceful person is a happy person. That when a mind is quiet and there is shanti, then such a person has sukha. Okay, such a person is peaceful, happy. Okay, So again, reinforcing all the things we have covered so far. The structure is quite here and there, but I hope those supplemented words, they can help you understand the shloka. If I missed out anything, the information is in the PDF sheet. I'll now take leave. I'll meet you in another video with another shloka. Until then, stay awesome, stay happy, keep learning Sanskrit. Vayam punha milamaha. Dhanyavad.